Thanks, everyone. The club's put out a lot of announcements tonight, so I'll be brief. I don't know that I need to recap the details, but it was certainly a very busy night around the league, and for us in particular, very pleased to have completed the business of finalizing contract terms with four of our players who were eligible for arbitration, and that will be carrying forward into the season next year, and also two other players that we've tendered contracts to, and we will continue the business of finalizing those contracts in the coming weeks. Obviously, I think big news tonight was the departure that we had, particularly with Hanser Alberto, who, this is a juncture of the off season, and it's a long off season, and it's not over. And we have absolutely loved having Hanser in every way, shape, or form since he got here. He's a terrific player. I expect that he'll have opportunity and interest, but part of our job is to operate within the economic framework of the collective bargaining agreement and the rules that are in place and the quirks of the arbitration system. And you saw today a lot of really good players around the league get non-tenured as part of this process. But he's somebody that we continue to have interest in pursuing. We feel this is a great home for him and continues to be. And we will continue talking to him. And I think that the interest is mutual, but it's now his right to explore opportunities, and we're going to have to compete for him. But he's somebody that's met a lot of this team, and we hope we're not closing the door on him. And then lastly, and kind of coincidentally, we completed a big trade, another hard guy to lose with José Iglesias, who was an exceptional part of the club last year in the shortened season, and turned into a really key acquisition from us from last off season. But we continue to view the accumulation of talent as a priority, and the reality is when you're in a phase like we are, anytime you sign a free agent, it's in the back of your mind, the trade possibilities that exist with that player. And he's not a player that we would have traded lightly, but we knew there were some open shortstop jobs around the league. We knew he was very attractive for his offensive and defensive and leadership skills that he put on display here with the Orioles. And I think that we got two quality arms from the Angels, one of whom in particular is somebody we've been focused on since he was in the 2019 draft. Garrett Stallings, one of the best pitchers in the Southeastern Conference that year, went in the 5th round. We were impressed with him then. And while he has not officially played professional baseball because he was shut down after throwing 100 innings in Tennessee, which the Angels do with their draft picks, and then the minor league cancellation this year, we got to scout him in person and also video and data this year through their instructional league. And he also appeared briefly at their summer camp when they had some spots open up due to some players leaving camp on their team. So, I think it's another great starting pitching prospect to add to what's becoming a very impressive stack of them in our system. We're going to need all of them we can get. I've said before that I don't know that I would trade our starting pitching in the minor leagues right now for anyone else's, and this makes me feel even stronger that might be the case. So we're looking forward to working with him. We're sad to see Iggy go, but this is the business of getting this organization into a long-term period of sustainability.
All right, thanks, Mike. We'll now open it up to questions. If you have a question, you can put your name in the chat now. Rock Kabako, if you want to lead us off, you can go ahead.
Mike, how do you envision replacing Iglesias at shortstop?
I think we've got work left to do there. We part of the risk with a trade like this when it comes to the stability at the major league level that we desire is, we're now looking for infield upgrades. But there are a lot of good players out on the market, and we'll have a chance to explore those and try to be opportunistic and smart again, like when we found Iggy. So we've got some work to do. It does make our job this offseason a little harder. I do feel like there's going to be other moves necessitated because of this trade. But to us, it was more important to get the young pitching prospects back. We figured, we looked at the market and we figured we'll have some opportunity to reinforce the group that we already have on the roster.
Nathan Ruiz, you're up next. Go ahead.
Hey, Mike, was it kind of an either-or situation with Alberto and Sanchez, and how did today's moves affect Sanchez's role on the team?
Well, he's on the team. I mean, we didn't have him last year, so there's not a lot of internal familiarity with our coaches. I don't think any of us in the organization has ever really had him, but stellar reputation, not just on the field and particularly defensively, but versatility. And also leadership, makeup, hustle. I think he's going to be really fun to watch. But certainly, at least for now, with Alberto, not in the organization at present, and Iglesias gone, I do think he comes to the forefront a little bit with stabilizing that second base. He can also play third if needed. He's a very good defender and very versatile defender. We did have many infielders in this arbitration class, and probably expected that we weren't going to be able to tender all of them at the exact same moment. But we'll see what happens here in the next weeks and months.
John Muley, you're up next. Go ahead, John.
Mike, with Jose and Hanser not coming back at this juncture, that reduces the payroll a little bit. Do you anticipate that there is flexibility to add players who are going to cost that kind of money? Is that money that will go back into the major league roster, and how do you expect economics to kind of drive what you guys do going forward?
Yeah, we'll see. I think it'll depend on the player and the opportunity and the possible deal that we're able to strike. This isn't a situation where there is an exact number that we're going to end at, and I know what it is, and we're going to get there no matter what. So we will monitor the market and do what we feel is the right fit for putting together a group at the major league level that helps us achieve our goals, which is continue to take a step forward, get some more young talent in this organization, and see our young guys that hopefully will blossom into stars, continue to improve and develop at the major league level.
Joe Trezza, you're up next. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Mike, just following up on that a little bit. How difficult of a decision was it on Hanser, just given how popular he was and how productive he was since he's been over here?
It was an incredibly difficult decision because of everything you said on and off the field. He's been so good. To have a waiver wire pickup turn into a top of the order hitter and a starting second baseman, that's uncommon. But unfortunately, the arbitration system, the way it's set up, there are a lot of arcane rules that I'm not sure that fans fully understand, but it puts boundaries around what we're able to do prior to this date. And our job is to study the market for baseball players and do the best we can within the market dynamics that exist. And like I said, this off season's not over, and we're going to continue to stay in touch with him because we know he's such a great fit here.
Rich Dubroff, you're up next. Go ahead, Rich.
Mike, in the hours leading up to this, did you try to make a deal to trade Alberto as well?
Anytime we get to the point of non-tendering a player or releasing a player or something that, we exhaust his market to the best of our abilities over, a long span of time. And, this is fairly common, as you saw today, just because of the rigidity of the arbitration structure and how some certain players are affected by it more than others, or more than they should be.
Dan Connolly, you're up next. Go ahead, Dan.
Mike, we talked to you last year around this time about both VR and then Bundy. And now if you add Nunez in with, these last two guys, Alberto and Iglesias, when, guys who obviously were of quality are leaving this team now.
Yeah, unless it was on my end, your connection cut out after talking about something about Bundy, VR and Bundy, and Nunez and Iglesias.
Yeah, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, that question, last year you kind of did this around December with those two guys who were productive members of the team. And now these three guys, if you throw in Nunez along with Iglesias and Alberto, how difficult is it to keep preaching that to the fan base when you have guys of quality that are leaving?
Yeah, it's very difficult, and you get attached to these players while you have them. But the business that we're in, there are contract structures and players, near the end of their stint with the teams, and they're either coming up on the last year, or they're going into a phase of arbitration where either our team or others are not willing to enter into that process with them. And it makes sense in every case that you're able to, especially when you're rebuilding, to try to see some long-term value coming back as these guys near the end of their stints with the team. And, we, at the times of the trade last year, or even this year, we don't feel that we're close to our ultimate goal yet in terms of setting up what we want to set up and getting to the level that we want to get up level. And unfortunately, when you're in that situation, this is what you do. And our farm system is on the rise. The young talent that we have on the major league team, guys that are rookies or still in the first couple of years of their career, but are looking really promising, that list is growing and those players are growing. And that's what we want to see. But we can't, keep every player around as much as we love them, just with the way baseball's set up. So we're executing this plan within the framework of the economic structure that's been around a long time in baseball, and with an eye on leaning towards acquiring talent that we can keep and grow here towards the next playoff team.
Steve Molesky, you're up next. Go ahead, Steve.
Mike, because he meant so much to the 2020 Orioles, is it a priority to attempt to add a player for shortstop who can bring some of what Iglesias did bring last year? And secondly, is this deal, and you touched on it a little bit here tonight, a signal that future players maybe are superseding 2021 wins still for this team?
I think it's accurate to say that we're still in the phase of accumulating talent and trying to rise to the top of young talent. We want to have the best young talent in baseball. I think we're going to need that to compete in this division. The baseline that we have, while it's improving rapidly, there's still room to go. We're setting a really high bar for where we want the foundational structure to be for our farm system. And you see and admire the work of a team in our own division, the Rays that are able to self-sustain because they do such a great job in scouting and player development. And I think that as I've been talking about since joining this club, we've had some catch up to do, and we're now seeing the farm system and the young talent on the major league roster too rising to the level of getting towards the top of the league, and that's what we want to see. We're also, still making up for a lack of normal level of international signing activity with this organization for a long time. I think that's part of, when we do trades like this, we kind of try to get a young international player tossed in every time we can, because we know we're in arrears a bit with that age group and getting those guys that all these other teams have been signing for the last 3 or 4 years. We haven't been at that level, and that's going to continue to sting here for a few years. So we're doing all that to catch up, to lay this foundation down. There will come a time when we flip the switch to maximizing wins in the next given season, but it's our judgment that we're not there yet. This is not fun to subtract from your major league team, but that's what you do when you're below 500 and rebuilding, and we still are. And we did have a shortened draft this year. The July 2nd class was postponed. The minor league season was canceled. There were some setbacks this year too that perhaps make our progress a little harder to judge. But tough call to part with a guy that was so impactful here in such a short time in Iggy, but could not pass up 2 quality pitching prospects, and particularly a guy in Garrett Stallings that I think fits in with our top 20, top 30 prospects, and is a legitimate starting pitching prospect, which is hard to get your hands on.
We have time for a couple more. Mark Viviano, you're up next.
Hi, Mike. You and 29 other clubs are obviously adjusting to a baseball economy that was impacted by a shortened season and lack of fans. Has that done anything to your game plan and your ability to do what you want to do? And how are you seeing it affect baseball and other teams in the marketplace at this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very difficult on our business in a lot of ways. It's no secret. A large live entertainment business is getting crushed through this. I think in our case in particular, we have been very, very fortunate that the partnership group has prioritized the execution of our comprehensive rebuilding strategy. We have not had to make any decisions to depart from that, even with this economic crisis. We're doing everything that we would be doing or need to do to keep our rebuild and our talent buildup chugging along. And even in light of the shortened draft and the lack of minor league season, I really felt like we made some progress in those areas, and we've been able to navigate what are some real economic issues, by knowing what we're doing in those areas and focusing on it. And yeah, it's in the back of your mind right now when you're going to go out and look at the free agent market, and every team's going to be like that with a lot of uncertainty. But we're doing the best we can, and I think we're doing a good job of getting through this while not dropping the ball or losing ground too badly with our rebuild.
John Muley, you're up. Go ahead, John.
Mike, you've mentioned the arbitration structure and the CBA a couple times in relation to Hanser. What specifically about him made it so that you guys didn't want to even engage in the process?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. It's built around player comps, and there are pretty well-defined ranges that you are even permitted to engage in with a player when he's in the arbitration track. And sometimes the market for certain positions or certain players evolves, and the availability of those players, the types of profiles that they inhabit, and the arbitration system's something that is much more difficult to to change along with any of those evolutions. So I really think this is something that you're seeing a lot of. There have been a large number of non-tenders, not just this year, but the past couple of years. And, in some ways it's unfortunate, but on the other hand, he and others will have their free agent rights now. And there's teams out there with a lot of jobs open and we'll see what happens.
Time for one final question. Joe Trezza, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, given everything that's happened this year and the fact that there was no minor league season, in your mind, was there more risk in trading for prospects like Stallings today compared to maybe a year ago? And was that something that you guys had to consider?
Yeah, a little bit, but not to the degree to where you don't make a move, a trade for a good prospect. I mean, yeah, I wish that we had his full season in 2020 that we normally would have had. Same goes for Taron Vavra or Kevin Smith and also the players that we drafted that had the shortened seasons. It has been a challenge. It's been an interesting one. We've made the most of the information that's been available to us. I think in Stallings' case, a little less of a headache than it would have been because he had such a long track record in the Southeastern Conference, which you hear me talk about a lot. It's to me, it's the best college conference, and we get a lot of comfort out of high-performing players in that conference. But also, he did pitch in their instructional league pretty extensively last month. We had multiple scouts there. We had video and data from that. And, we knew what he was in 2019. And then to see that, those performances a month ago, see the stuff, the velocity, and all of it be a little bit better than what he showed in college. I mean, it's pretty encouraging. So we didn't feel like it was too much extra risk given the circumstances. And actually it's probably one of the lesser cases of that we've run into in 2020 just because of the recent instructional league appearance.